Yes. Okay. So, hi. This is the Tuesday Pulse that I use for talking about AI in business world. I'm Chuck Boyce with Cibi Creative. And anyway, today I want to talk about seven deadly sins of business AI. And if you've done any reading about AI projects, especially in the corporate world over 2025, there's been a couple of reviews that talked about how 75–80% of AI projects have failed, and it hadn't failed because of bad tools. It comes from broken systems. And so that's why I want to talk about how to avoid these problems that you may run into when you're trying to implement AI in a corporate transformational way. This isn't just bringing in ChatGPT and writing some prompts. This is more about how to transform your business processes with automation or with AI and what you should avoid. So you hear it all the time, a lot of hype about the promise of AI. It's time consuming. I mean, the time it saves is dramatic. If you get used to doing it, it can cut your time 30, 40, 50% in certain tasks. The consistent output quality is supposedly very good. You have all this growth potential and savings, cost savings. And it just helps with everything in the world. AI is the greatest thing ever, is the promise. But in reality, it's like a magic trick that keeps failing. And because people don't really apply it, they look at it as a cool tool, a shiny new toy. They don't give it the resources or the workflows, or they don't use it properly, mainly because they haven't been taught. It's a new tool and they're just unfamiliar with how to use it properly. So a big problem right now is the tool first trap, which is where somebody hears about, hey, you got to try ChatGPT or go to Claude or try Perplexity, and then they start using it and they do something like, oh, I want to write an email to this client to hype my latest product. And then they get something that comes out, it's very generic sounding, and they say, this AI doesn't work for me. And mainly because they're using a tool, they're like, buying a sports car to learn how to drive. It's not that way. You have to follow a certain sequence. And the first thing is to understand what you want to solve with this tool to go ahead. And so one of the tool first traps that people run into, I'll go back and forth between the presentation and ChatGPT. And so a good example here, I'm just going to post in a copy and paste some prompts in here to show you an example. Act as a small business consultant and explain why buying tools before documenting workflows leads to a waste of time. And you go through here, and even ChatGPT should be saying that, should be saying something. Okay, normally it doesn't take this long, so I'm not quite sure what is happening with ChatGPT right now, but it's
With me
taking.
as well, where it just is like doing or just loading. I always refresh. Sometimes that works.
Okay, so then I'm going to try Claude. Is Claude. See how this handles it. Or is it just the internet in general? Wow. Okay, so Claude is a little bit quicker in responding, but basically it's saying, again, you're putting the cart before the horse. You're choosing a tool without knowing what your outflow is going to be. You haven't optimized it. You don't know where bottlenecks are. You don't know what tasks are repetitive or where you need human error or judgment. And so, again, it's just reiterating the importance of understanding your problem before applying a tool for it, even though the tool sounds like it's a wonderful thing. But it's, again, if you don't find the cause first, you're going to have longer onboarding, you're going to have resistance, you're going to have pivoting because you don't know how to do it. You're going to go from ChatGPT to Claude to Perplexity or back and forth. You have to map your state, identify where your biggest pain points are, define your state. And so, again, on and on, it's the same thing. It's right now you hear a lot of AI and it doesn't fail. It's the unclear prompting or the broken processes or trying to apply a tool to a problem that doesn't exist. So, in the seven deadly sins, there's a few different areas that you can focus on. Number one is an obsession with tools, buying the latest shiny tool based on the hype rather than the reality. Ignoring the processes that go behind what you want to solve. What problem are you facing that's eating up your time or costing too much money? There's a process behind that, and so if you don't know the process, you can't improve it. Data blindness is another area. If you're trying to do different things with data, you may have, say, for client data, you may have something stored in spreadsheets and another in your phone database and another in a CRM if you have a CRM, and you don't know which is the authoritative source. Some may have a different phone number or a different address or a different website, which is going to be the primary source of your data. That's a very important thing when you want to automate what your data is going to be used for, especially email follow-up, appointment follow-ups, things like that. You want the proper information accessible to your AI. Integration avoidance, trying to avoid steps that you may need. Do you need a tool like Zapier or Make to be an intervening point of different tools? And so there is most likely going to be integration involved. Neglecting to train people is a very big thing, assuming people have the knowledge. Training, especially in the world of AI, even though it's improving daily, it's changing daily, you have to keep up with it. You'll have to have somebody on your team that is a champion of your AI, keeping abreast of all the changes and the updates that are needed. Measuring, not having measurements to follow your return on investment. If you don't measure your time savings, your money savings, you don't really have a point to say that, yes, this AI was worth the price. And then scaling impatience, trying to scale before they're ready for it. So going into each of these, number one is the tool obsession. Again, focusing on capabilities and not needs. You hear all the hype. You'll see ads all the time flouting their AI capabilities. AI is everywhere. You could use our tool because it has AI, even though it may not have anything to do with the problem you're solving. And so the best tool that solves your problem or your bottleneck is not the one with the most features. It's the one that directly addresses the problem you're trying to solve. Start with mapping your systems before your tool. So list your 3 daily bottlenecks. What are you trying to improve? Is it trying to save money? Is it trying to save time? So we'll jump back into see if chat ever came back. But chat did finally come back with why you should find your documented workflows before your time. So now let's go through and I'll paste another one thing here about processes. And so say that you're trying to save time and money, especially if you're a consultant or a workflow person, something that you do repetitively and it's wasting your time. So first thing to do is to look at what your 3 bottlenecks are. And so mine are right here: manual data entry of records. Small teams, they waste hours doing this type of stuff. Scheduling and task coordination. Time gets lost juggling calendars. You may have multiple calendars. Customer communications, missing messages or delayed messages, not following up. It can kill your revenue. And so here I will ask the AI, out of these 3 bottlenecks, what type of process improvement would reduce these the most for automation, delegation, and elimination. So if you look at those 3 products, it's coming back and saying, so step-by-step reasoning, your manual data entry, the best fix is automation. Connecting data sources using triggers for scheduling, automation, and delegation. So here's the human aspect. You still may need to have humans involved. Customer communications, best fix is automation, as long as you know your triggers and you know your thank yous. So your perspectives you have here, your action plan. So always document first. Prioritize your automation, delegate selectively, and then implement. So tool obsession, don't obsess, find your problem, find the tool that fixes the problem first. Sin number 2 is process ignorance. Implementing without understanding your common workflows. That's a very common theme. That's one of the reasons that a lot of these projects have failed over the years, is because the upper management was sold a solution without understanding really what the problems were. They try to implement it and they didn't understand the workflow, so the AI really didn't match what they needed to really solve. It amplifies existing processes. So if your process is clear unbroken, it's going to make the problem worse faster. If you understand your process, it will help. If you don't understand your process, it's the old garbage in, garbage out. So map your triggers, your inputs, your steps and decisions. And we go back into an example of, say, you're a roofing contractor and you want to automate your lead intake. And so your process, if you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to automate it. So in the idea of a roofing contractor, they have to capture a lead, and then they have to qualify the lead. Then they schedule an inspection. Once the inspection comes through, then they prepare a proposal. Once a proposal is done, they schedule a follow-up. They sign a contract. They schedule the work. They deliver, and then that. And so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps in the process of just a roofing project. So if you look at all of those steps, I'll copy and paste. And so, So again, I have these processes. This workflow, and automate. So going through, breaking it down, here's the lead intake. The potential is very high for automating what to keep human. Here we have the qualification. Again, it's a moderate idea for automating the qualifications because you'll probably have to have human intervention. So that's not as automatable as others. The appointment scheduling itself is very high. That's easy to automate. The on-site inspections, very low because you actually have to go on-site and visually look at the project. The proposal delivery, very high potential. You can have templated proposals and just fill in the blanks of what needs to be done. Contract signing, again, you can send e-letters, emails, very high automation. And then the project handoff would be moderate because, again, you'll have to have customer sign-offs and things like that. And so just by rating these, you can find out where you want to start cherry picking the ones to automate. And so document it, find your trigger points, choose one platform, automate it. So again, methodically, you're looking at what problems need to be solved and which ones can be automated or using AI. Next is going to be your data blindness. Ignoring data destroys AI value because, again, if you have garbage coming in, you're getting garbage going out. And so no matter how fast it can be, it can lead to wasted time, misleading insights, loss of confidence, and your old AI doesn't work for me because it's, again, not understanding what you're doing with it. And so in the data blindness area, I don't have a way to do this because I don't have a big data set to look. But what you can use for AI would be is to look at the data that you're using, whether it's spreadsheets or calendars or time invoices, whatever data you're using, you can have AI analyze it, drop copies with PDFs or spreadsheets and ask the AI to say, create a checklist for organizing this data and show me what may be incomplete or duplicated. And that way you can start to clean up your data and find out where you have redundant data and which redundancies can be eliminated or fixed to make sure that you have a primary source of your authentic or authoritative data. The next is integration avoidance. AI works best as one stop and not a chain or not a silo. And so when you're coming into, say, you're storing your customers in Google Sheets, but you want to get it into a CRM and you want to do email automation and then get analytics. You can use Make or Zapier or go high level without coding, but you do still have to understand how the data flows and what connections, triggers, and handoffs need to be happening, and if they do need human oversight to manually approve approvals or send outs or contacting customers. And so treating AI as a standalone, you can write copy, but if it never feed it into other things, it's just going to become each tool becoming an island. And so you want to be able to make sure that you have those connections to do something as simple as say that you want to run something like this and just do a simple thing, map this process and paste it in, and it's going to probably suggest other tools. May think of what I have. So it's saying from Google Sheets to CRM, there's no retyping. All you do is you have a trigger for CRM to email. It depends what CRM you have. It just gives you ideas. And so if you haven't used your LLMs to give you ideas on building your workflows and building your processes, it is a great help for that. And it will give you steps to automate or suggest where you may be able to automate as you go forward. Sin number 5 is neglecting training, which is a huge problem. And again, when you bring AI or automation into a team, a lot of times the teams ignore it because they may be threatened by it, and then they're not getting the training on it. And so you buy a tool, the team ignores it, 3 months later it's canceled because nobody's using it, because they haven't been trained. And so with any tool, with any project, with anything, you have to keep people in the loop and understand what the tool is there for and how to use it effectively. First 2 weeks, you just introduce the tool, you teach the basic navigation. The next few weeks, you start doing show and tells, you demonstrate how to win using the tool, keep everybody in the loop. In the next few weeks, you do advanced integrations, integrate with existing workflows, and again, make sure that you have things documented, that there's templates, that people are using the same processes. And then ongoing, you have just a weekly sales training, a weekly training on what's new, what's been improved. If you have these processes and you have a champion of AI, they're going to be updating workflows and prompts. And so keeping everybody up to speed on what's been changing is going to be an ongoing part of your AI or automation implementations. Going to sin number 6. Sin number 6 is measurement absence, and this is not tracking your ROI. So you always hear it, we're not sure if we're saving time or money, and it's very simple to do. If you start documenting your processes, you can also start documenting the time it takes. So for example, if you're doing a process that takes you 5 hours to do, and you say this person is being billed at $30 a month or something like that, or $30, say $50 an hour, and you're doing a tool that's $30 a month. So if you're saving 5 hours at $50 an hour, that's $13,000. And so again, putting a number on the time, $50 an hour, and then figuring out what your rate is going to be, and then looking at the cost of the tool. If the tool is more than 3 times a return, then it's worth the investment. And so here again, you're saving 5 hours at $50 an hour, $13,000 a year. $13,000 for the $30 would be $90. And so you can see $90 is quite a savings from the 13,000. So always measure items that you can prove that there is a return on investment, and that's whether it's a time savings or a cost savings. And again, time is money. You're always going to be trading time for money. It's either your time or you're buying somebody else's time. And then the last sin is a scale impatience. It's trying to automate everything at once. It's like, again, a lot of these bigger projects failed because they're trying to replace an entire process, an entire workflow, instead of starting small, finding one high impact, low risk workflow, and then seeing how you can clean that up. Then test that thoroughly for a few weeks, make sure everything works, everybody's trained on it, everybody does the same thing, and then start doing it in the real world, and then gradually scale it up. AI projects normally take months to implement, even though it's very fast to get it in, but starting small, testing in sandboxes, rolling it out into production, and then scaling up are the steps that you need to take. And a lot of companies don't do that. They're missing either not documenting their processes, they're not cleaning up their data, they're not training individuals, and they don't have a ability to scale up. So here we'll just do a quick case study. BrightPath Marketing this. They were a 10-person agency trying to modernize. They thought they bought a bunch of different AI subscriptions over 2 weeks, and they tried to automate client reports before cleaning up the data. They skipped team training because everyone's already using ChatGPT, but not in the same way. And 6 months later, everything stalled. The reports were inconsistent. They didn't trust the numbers. And because they failed most of the tests, they broke a lot of these sins or fell into these sins, such as tool obsession, buying all of these subscriptions before understanding what they need. They had dirty data. They didn't understand their processor data before they did it. They didn't train anybody because if they thought everybody was already trained on ChatGPT, even though it's a different LLM or a different AI that they were using. But if they knew ChatGPT, they were trained, but which was wrong. And so they fell into a lot of these sins, which a lot of companies do. So again, here we go. What went wrong? The tool obsession, the process ignorance, the data blindness, training neglect, and measurement absence. And so again, if you understand what you're trying to solve before you spend the money on these tools, you're going to be much further ahead. So invest in documentation and training before you invest in tools. So map your processes, clearly define what your workflow triggers and steps are going to be. Clean your data, get a single reliable source of your true data, and make sure that everybody is always sourcing that same master authoritative data. Train your team, keep every session, everybody has to be in on the loop. If people are not informed, they feel threatened, they're not going to be wanting to participate in these projects. It's always better if you train your people. Not only do they provide better insight, but they also can give new direction and new ideas. And the more that they feel they're involved in ownership of a process, the more they're going to dive into it and help. Measuring your ROI, always find out where your time and value is going to be generated and make sure that you get at least 3 times return on the cost of the tool. And scale gradually. Don't try to do it all in one big chunk. Just do step by step by step, always in a sandbox before production, always have human oversight. So the path forward is always clarity before tools. You start with assessing where your business is right now. You fix the biggest pain points. You apply systematically. Once you build on the small wins, you start compounding and you build scaling. You improve the consistency overall, and you never stop refining. You constantly iterate, and as your business evolves and your needs evolve, you reassess and find out what needs to be improved. You fix the biggest pain points, you build upon that, you refine. And again, this circle never stops. It's all about progress with purpose. Understand what you want to solve before you solve it. Next steps here, I have a handout that will send you links for a self-assessment, find out where you can find your lowest hanging fruit to automate or bring AI into helping you make it more efficient. Then I have an AI readiness assessment, which will be soon available on my website, which just gives you a path to going into where you are, how ready is your business to actually do an AI project. And then the next step would be a strategic foundations course, which is a course that focuses more on getting your business ready rather than focusing on how to use AI. And then weekly, this is a weekly seminar webinar that I change the subject matter on, always something business related about AI. It's every Tuesday. Please join. And if you have any questions or comments, I'll open it up right now. I'm going to stop sharing. And great. So, Lily, what do you think?
You did awesome. You, from at least the public speaking perspective, that was great. I was taking notes. I didn't know that you could tell, but I was
Oh,
taking some notes. So
great.
that was awesome. Thank you so much.
You're
And I
welcome.
learned so much about AI, and I'm really thankful for that. So thank you.
You're welcome. I hope it helps, and good luck on your courses. And yeah,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Bye.